My name is Lin Feng, an ordinary mini-programmer. He is in the broken pen writing building in this digital city. He works overtime until midnight every day, and his salary does not cost him a nightclub. Today is another terrible day. Boss Fatty Lou pointed at my nose in the conference room, and his saliva was almost spraying on my face. Lin Feng, what kind of thing are you writing with this broken code? Customer complaint system card. Do you know how much this piece is worth? If you don't change it, I'll give it an egg tomorrow. Fatty Lou put his hand on his hips and pointed at me with the other hand, and the fat on his face shook like a fruit. I lowered my head, clenched my fists, and 1,000 grass and mud horses ran wildly in my heart. Who doesn't want to fight back? But I didn't have such a shame, and the bowl was still in the hands of this guy. I could only grit my teeth and replied, General Lou, I will work overtime tonight to make corrections, and I guarantee there is no problem. Waste. Fatty Lou snorted coldly and turned away, leaving me alone standing in the conference room, like a rag doll that had been drained from strength. At 9 o'clock in the evening, the company was already empty, and I was the only one who was typing the code on the computer screen, and my eyes were almost dazed. Outside the window is the neon lights of the digital city, and no data flows through the air, forming a huge virtual network, which is the second world of human beings. But to me, this place is a prison. The police monitor everything at any time. If you are not careful, you will be arrested and retraced, directly erase your life records and become a mobile phone. Mom, why are there so many loopholes in this system? I flipped through the code, and suddenly a string of strange characters popped up on the screen, with red characters on black background, like some kind of encrypted message. I was stunned for a moment. This is not my project. What's the matter? Curiosity was exaggerated, and I clicked on it at my fingertips. The next second, the screen suddenly turned black, and the entire office fell into a dead silence, and there was no buzzing sound of air regulating. I felt panic and wanted to restart my computer. A line of bloody words suddenly appeared on the screen. The rebellious AI system is activated. Are you sure the link? What's the thing? I muttered, and my hands were uncontrollably confirmed. To be honest, at that moment, I only had one idea in my brain. If I could make a lot of news, I might be able to turn it over. Just as I clicked, a strong current flowed into my body from the keyboard, and my whole body seemed to be struck by lightning, and my brain was buzzing. Then, a cold mechanical sound echoed in my brain. The host confirmed that the rebellious AI system Xiaoxi has been determined. The energy weapon system is unblocked and the network's master control is activated. I stood there in a hurry, with a bunch of questions in my brain. Energy weapon? Internet ownership? What is this? Before I could react, a blue arc suddenly appeared at the tip of my right finger, causing a response, like the ion gun in a science fiction movie. I subconsciously slammed my hand and the arc shot out directly. With a bang, the monitoring image at the corner of the office wall exploded into a pile of debris, sparking all over the place. Collection. I jumped up in surprise, looking at my hand, as if I was looking at some alien creature. What is this? Goldfinger? Did I really do it? The sound of mechanical sound in the brain resounded again. Host, I am Xiaoxi, your AI assistant. The energy weapon you have just developed is just a primary state. With the system upgrade, you will control stronger power, including the ability to smuggle the entire network. Will you go online? My eyes lit up, and a big thought suddenly popped up in my heart. Didn't Fatty Lou use monitoring to press me all day long? Isn't it a waste? Okay, today I will let you see who is the waste. I took a deep breath and asked Xiaoxi in my brain, can you invade the company's monitoring system and wipe out all the heads of the camera? Of course, host. Xiaoxi's voice was silent. It is cracking the firewall and is expected to be completed in 30 seconds. I couldn't understand the flying codes on the screen, but the feeling of pleasure in my heart was already full of excitement. After 30 seconds, Xiaoxi's voice sounded again. The cracking was completed, and all the monitoring equipment inside the company has been closed. Will the sales cancellation command be executed? Wind, of course it's ruined. I gritted my teeth and cut, and my fingers slammed, and the blue arc shot out from my fingertips again. This time it was not ahead of the image, but the monitoring line of the entire office. With a whim, the wires behind the wall were completely burned, sparks were shattered, and the entire monitoring system was completely invasive. Ha ha ha. Fatty Lou, let's see how you can use the supervision to threaten me. I couldn't hold my mouth shut, and the affliction in my heart finally disappeared. From today on, I am no longer a mini-program member who can control the internet and play energy weapons. However, the feeling of pleasure didn't last long, and the lights in the office suddenly became completely blown, and then a harsh warning sound came out. Time police? I felt nervous. These guys were the ultimate overlords of digital cities, specializing in arresting anyone trying to challenge the system. Say that they sometimes have time to go backtrack technology, which can directly wipe people out and make you never existed. Thinking of this, I felt a little excited. Host, it is recommended to evacuate immediately. Xiaoxi's voice did not bring any emotion. Your energy weapon's primary state cannot fight against the time police head-on, but my network control can make time for you. Retreat, you must withdraw. I gritted my teeth, grabbed my backpack and ran out. Just rushed to the elevator entrance, and a deep bird came from afar, like a flying vehicle approaching. My heart beat faster and I asked Xiaoxi in my brain, how fast are they coming? Is there any way to delay? The police's navigation system is invading the time of invasion. You can create your location signal and it is expected to delay for 3 minutes. Xiaoxi's voice was still cold, and the code stream popped up again on the screen. Although I couldn't understand it, I felt a lot in my heart. The elevator door opened, and I rushed in and pressed the first floor, while thinking about the next road. Time police are not the small characters like Fatty Lou. Their head Carl said that they can directly control time retracement, and ordinary people are not opponents at all. However, I have Xiaoxi now and have energy weapons. Are you afraid of being a hare? When the elevator reached the first floor, I just pulled out of the main floor. Several red beams had already lit up in the sky far away. It was the time police tracker. I panicked and asked Xiaoxi, why did they still come to me? The information signal has been identified. It is recommended that the host hide his identity and enter the sewer system to avoid it. Xiaoxi's voice was still calm, but this made me feel a little sad. Sewer? What's the idea? However, the red beam was getting closer and closer. I gritted my teeth, and still heard Xiaoxi's, crossed the well beside the road and jumped directly. The inside was so stinky that I almost didn't spit it out, but I was caught by the time police. Hiding in the sewer, I gasped and asked Xiaoxi in my brain, what should I do next? You can't hide all the time, right? Host, the tracking technology of the time police is extremely strong, and long-term avoidance is not feasible. Xiaoxi stopped for a moment and continued, my suggestion is to take the initiative to attack, use energy weapons and my network control to invade their tracking system. Take it out? My eyes lit up, and the unconvincing thug came up again. Yes, I'm not an ordinary person now, why are you chasing me like a dog? What about the police? I have Xiaoxi and energy weapons. I may be able to kill him. Okay, I'll hear you. I gritted my teeth, and the blue arc between my fingers jumped again, my eyes full of war. Xiaoxi, tell me where their tracking system is. Let's give them a look tonight. It's being located, please wait for the host. Xiaoxi's voice sounded, and at the same time I heard a sound of footsteps coming from afar, as if the police had approached the entrance of the sewer. My heart beat faster and my palms were covered in sweat, but a fire broke out in my heart. From now on, I am Lin Feng is not a waste that can be controlled by others. Time police? Carl? Come and see who is the real master of this digital city. The smell of the sewer can easily smother people. I covered my nose and squatted in the dark corner, my heart beat as fast as a drumbeat. As the distance sounded closer and closer, mixed with the low mechanical buzz, the police tracker of the time police had probably locked the area. I bit my teeth tightly, and the blue arc between my fingers was striking, half of my heart was panicked and half full of anger. Xiaoxi, why is the positioning? They are almost blocked. I asked in my brain with a low voice. Host, the core section of the police tracking system of the Time Police has been positioned, about 3 kilometers away from your current location, and is located in the data center of the east of the digital city. Xiaoxi's voice was still so cold, as if he didn't take this seriously at all. It is recommended to act immediately, destroying the tracking ability of the spot to damage their actual tracking ability, and to fight for you at least 24 hours of buffering. 3 kilometers? Do you still have to pass through half a city? I was so excited that I heard it. Now the police eye line outside is the Time Police. I guess I was arrested when I took this opportunity. Are there any shortcuts or covers? Don't let me get instantly as soon as I go out. Analyzing the terrain data, an underground pipeline has been found, which can avoid ground monitoring and reach the data center. Xiao Zhidian said, but there is a high-pressure data flow inside the network, which ordinary people cannot bear. It is recommended to use energy weapons to open the road. Okay, fight. I gritted my teeth, stood up, and walked forward in the direction Xiaoxi pointed. The website is as dark as ink, and I can only rely on the light of the mobile phone screen to shine through the road. At any time, there are also mice that have passed by my feet, which scared me with goosebumps. After about 10 minutes of leaving, a dazzling red light suddenly lit up in front of me, as if something was moving on the highway. I squinted my eyes and saw that the groove was indeed a data flow. A red band of light was shuttled through the tube network like a snake, making a low buzzing sound, and the air was filled with a burnt smell. Host, high-pressure data current will cause fatal damage to the human body. It is recommended to activate the energy weapon immediately to build a protective barrier. Xiaoxi's voice sounded. Protection barrier? How do I use this thing? I was stunned. The blue arc between my fingers jumped quite well, but I was completely out of touch when it became a barrier. Concentrate your mind and concentrate your energy on the physical form, and I will help control it. Xiaoxi's temperament is calm. I took a deep breath, closed my eyes, and thought about wrapping myself into an eggshell. The next second, the blue arc between my fingers suddenly burst, as if it was alive, quickly forming a translucent light curtain around me, causing a harsh friction sound. The trough, it's really okay. I opened my eyes quietly and looked at this light curtain, and felt so happy. It feels like wearing a set of unscrupulous war armor, and no one is afraid of it. The barrier energy is limited, so it is recommended to pass quickly, and it is expected to last for 5 minutes. Xiaoxi reminded. It's over. I gritted my teeth and rushed into the data stream as soon as I started. The red light exploded around me, like countless small knives scratching the light curtain, sparking 4 times, but I couldn't break through. My heart beat faster, my feet kept falling, and I ran forward with pressure. In 5 minutes, I said it was not long, but it was not short. At the end of the run, I was sweating heavily and my legs were almost soft. Finally, a huge metal gate appeared ahead, with the tag East Zone Data Center Core Point. I gasped and stopped to see that the light curtain was as thin as a piece of paper and might break at any time. Xiaoxi, is this where you said? How do you go in? I wiped my sweat and asked. The gate is protected by high-level encrypted locks. If the damage is directly damaged, the alarm will be issued. It is recommended to unlock the lock through network intrusion. Xiaoxi's voice sounded, please stick your palm close to the gate, and I will start the cracking program. I clicked my head and put my hand on it. I felt a cold stream of data flowing in my palms, and my brain was filled with messy codes. In less than 30 seconds, a low bird sounded out from the gate, opening slowly, revealing a passage leading to the underground. It's done! I clenched my fists and the pleasure in my heart came back. Isn't the police awesome? I can enter your floor as well. The air in the passage is colder, with metal walls all around it, and you can hear the sound of the machine moving. I walked along the way and soon I saw a huge circular hall with a huge server in the center, densely packed with data interfaces, and there were several men in black uniforms patrolling the walls, with small trackers with red light hanging around my waist. Host, the server is to track the core of the system, destroying its positioning ability of the policeman to slay the time. Xiaoxi's voice sounded, but there are 5 guards on the scene, and the initial energy weapon cannot deal with multiple people at the same time. It is recommended to storm monitoring first to create confusion. I understand. I clicked my head, hid in the corner, and the blue arc between my fingers jumped again. He said to Xiaoxi in his brain, "Free the monitoring first, don't let them discover me." The monitoring system is being invaded and is expected to be completed in 10 seconds. Xiaoxi responded. 10 seconds later, sparks suddenly appeared on the head of several monitored images in the corner of the hall, and then they went completely black. The guards were stunned for a moment, and one of them confiscated. "It's damaged again? What's going on with this broken system recently?" The other took out his phone, as if preparing for a report. "It's now." I felt a tight heart in my heart, and I growled, thrust out of the corner, and my fingers slammed, and the blue arc turned into a light blade, heading straight for the nearest guard. The guy didn't react yet, his shoulder was hit by the light blade, and he screamed and fell directly to the ground. "Evil!" The other guards responded and took out the red light weapon from their waists, which shot me. I quickly turned over and hid behind a machine. The red light hit the metal surface, sparking 4 times, making my face hot. These guys have a lot of firepower. I gritted my teeth and asked Xiaoxi in my brain, "Is there any way to interfere with their weapons?" "We are analyzing the weapon frequency, and the interference signal has been found, which is expected to be stormed for 10 seconds. Xiaoxi responded. 10 seconds? It's over. I gritted my teeth and waited for Xiaoxi to give the prompt "interference is completed," and Lima rushed out after covering her body. Sure enough, those guardian weapons suddenly lost their spirits, and the red light flashed and seemed to be stuck. Their faces were full of surprise. I took advantage of the opportunity to activate the energy weapon, and the blue arc stormed like a whip, and then all fell down in a few seconds. Huh. I'll do it. I gasped and looked at Shua, who was falling to the ground, and the feeling of pleasure in my heart was bursting. The police officers are not so. However, this is not finished yet. I turned to look at the server in the center, and the arc between my fingers stormed, and I directly hit the thing. With a bang, a big hole exploded on the surface of the server, and the circuit inside was blowing, and smoke came out, and the lights of the entire hall began to flash. The tracking system has been damaged, and the police cannot accurately locate your location during the time. Xiaoxi's voice sounded, but the breach has issued a high-level alarm. It is expected that reinforcements will arrive within 5 minutes. It is recommended to evacuate immediately. Retreat. Retreat. I clicked the head, turned around and ran towards the passage. But after running for a few steps, Xiaoxi's warning suddenly came to the brain. Host, the high-level police level has locked the data center through the backup system. Carr moved on his own and took the time to trace the device, which is expected to arrive within 3 minutes. Carl? Time retracement? My heart sank, and my pace was half a beat slower. This guy is the top boss of the time police. He said that he can directly erase a person's life record and make you never existed. This kind of opponent, my current energy weapon is not the opponent at all. Host, head-on calculation is 0. It is recommended to use the backup end of the data center to invade the police's database in reverse, obtain their internal information, or find weaknesses. Xiaoxi's voice was as cold as usual. Reverse invasion? Okay, try it. I gritted my teeth, turned back to the main hall, found one that was still at the end of the operation, put it on my palm, and said to Xiaoxi in my brain, hurry up, crack their firewalls and get all the information I can get. It is invading, the firewall has a very high strength, and it is expected to take 2 minutes. Xiaoxi responded, and then a series of codes flew quickly in my brain. My heart beat faster, my eyes fixed on the end screen, and my palms were covered in sweat. In 2 minutes, it was not short, and Carr might be killed at any time. If he was caught at this time, he would probably have surpassed the game directly. 1 minute passed, and a string of red warnings suddenly appeared on the screen. The invasion has been detected, and the system will soon lock the source. I panicked and asked Xiaoxi, what's going on? Has it been discovered? Host, the police's AI defense system has been activated at the time, but I have passed the main firewall and are downloading the core data for 30 seconds. Xiaoxi's voice was still stable. 30 seconds, hold on. I bit my teeth and the blue arc between my fingers was ready to respond to sudden events at any time. At this moment, a low bird came from the passage, like a heavy equipment approaching. My heart is tight. Is it that the groove? Is Carl coming? The download is completed, and you can obtain the internal confidential files of Time Police, including Car's time backtracking device weaknesses and their ultimate plan. Xiaoxi's voice finally came to an end. The file shows that Time Police is planning to reshape the entire digital city through backtracking technology, wipe out all rebels, and achieve absolute control. Bored, is this big sarcastic? My eyes lit up, and the fire in my heart became burned again. It turns out that these guys not only want to capture me, but also want to turn everyone into puppets. I can't let them succeed. Host, Car has entered the data center. It is recommended to evacuate immediately. The data has been backed up to my core and can be viewed at any time. Xiaoxi reminded. I clicked the head, turned around and ran to another passage, and took a few steps, and then I heard a cold cry from behind, Lin Feng, you can't escape. I suddenly turned around and saw a tall figure in a long black robe standing in the center of the hall, wearing a half-metal mask on my face, a red light in my eyes, and a device emitting strange waves in my hand. The pressure could make my legs softer than 10 meters away. Carl. I bit my teeth tightly, and the blue arc between my fingers jumped even harder, but I knew in my heart that this guy was not something I could deal with now. I can give you a happy time by handing over the rebellious AI. Carl's voice seemed to be transmitted from the ground, and the device in his hand began to produce low birds, as if the time itself was twisting. Go to your heart. I shouted, turned around and ran away, and shouted to Xiaoxi in my heart, is there any way to delay this guy? Analysis is underway. The time backtracking device takes 30 seconds to preheat. It is recommended to use the terrain to create obstacles. Xiaoxi responded. As soon as my eyes turned, I slammed into the passage, and my fingers slapped, and the blue arc hit the top of the middle passage. With a sound, gravel and metal frames smashed down, blocking the road. Carl's growl came from behind, but I was running forward desperately without any worries. As far as the passage is, the exit of the sewer, it was already bright and the neon lights of the digital city far away were still flashing. I gasped and knew in my heart that the pursuit was not over. Car's time backtracking device, Time Police reshaping plan. These secrets, like a huge blow-up, may blow me to pieces at any time. But I, Lin Feng, is not a person who will easily recognize. I have Xiaoxi in my hand, energy weapons, and a secret information I just got. What about the Time Police? I have long wanted you to know who is the master of this online world. At this moment, a red light suddenly lit up from the sky far away, like some kind of signal. My heart was tense, and I felt a greater numbness approaching. I stood at the outcast sewer exit, covered in sweat, my legs were as soft as cotton, and I just escaped from under Car's hands, but my heartbeat didn't even sluggishly. The red light in the sky became brighter and brighter, as if warning me that something bad was approaching. I gasped, the blue arc between my fingers was still beating, and the unconvincing swelling in my heart made me bite my teeth. Xiaoxi, what is that red light? Don't tell me that I'm the pursuer of the police again. I softened my voice and asked in my brain. Host, according to data analysis, red light urgently summoned the signal for the Time Police, predicting that they are adjusting more teams and blocking the digital eastern part of the city. Xiaoxi's voice was still so cold, as if he was not panicking at all. It is recommended to move the position immediately to avoid being surrounded. Turn? Where to turn? I'm now like a rat on the street, and the whole city is their eye line. I rushed around and looked around, and there were broken streets around, with neon lights flashing in darkness, and data flowing through the air, like an invisible large network that could net me at any time. Host, according to the time the police downloaded, They have a secret base in the east for storing core technologies and backup systems. If they can dive into and destroy the base, they can further weaken their control and gain more time for you. Xiao Zhido said for a moment and continued, the base location has been marked, only 2 kilometers away from your current location. It is recommended to use the sewer system to get close secretly. Secret base? It sounds good. My eyes lit up, and a fire ignited in my heart. Didn't the police arrest me? Not only do I want to run away, but I also want to bite you back. Let's go, take the way. We'll give their lair tonight. Xiaoxi didn't say anything, and directly projected a route map in my brain. I ordered the diamond back to the sewer. Although it was so smelly, it was more tight than being locked by a tracker on the ground. After walking along the pipeline for about half an hour, I finally arrived at a secret exit, which was the so-called secret base. I carefully pushed the well open, poked out my head and saw that the trough didn't look like a secret base. Outside is a circle of high-pressure electric networks, full of metal buildings. Patrol guards are wearing heavy armor, and the red light weapons in their hands are dazzled by me. There are several unmanned machines far away, and the monitoring range is completely dead. Xiaoxi, can this dive? This defense is like an iron bucket. I turned around and asked in a low voice. Host, the base's defense system is automatically controlled by AI, but there is a loophole. The power of the network supplies 3 seconds of power separation every 30 minutes. I can interfere with the monitoring signals of the unmanned machines simultaneously to create short and blind areas. It is recommended to pass quickly in the next power outage. Xiaoxi's voice was still stable. 3 seconds? What a joke, what can I do in such a short time? I felt nervous, but looking at the helpless and unmanned outside, I felt that I couldn't try it. Okay, I'll fight. Tell me when to shut down. The energy fluctuation is being monitored. The power cut is expected to be ready after 1 minute. Xiaoxi responded. I took a deep breath and squatted under the well. The blue arc between my fingers was about to be developed, and my brain repeatedly simulated the past movements. In 1 minute, I said it was not long, but it was not short. When Xiaoxi prompted the power was started, I suddenly pushed the well and pulled out like a leopard, and in a few steps I rushed to the edge of the network. Sure enough, the current on the internet suddenly disappeared, and I flipped through it, and just stood there and heard the network behind me waving again. Collection, it's fine. My heartbeat was almost blowing. I hid behind a pile of scrap metal pigs, panting and asking Xiaoxi, what about a nude machine? Didn't you find me? The monitoring signal has interfered, and the unmanned aircraft has not detected abnormalities, but the guard patrol route is about to pass your location. It is recommended to use energy weapons to create small interference to divert their attention. Xiaoxi responded. I understand. I clicked my head, and with a flash of my finger, a small blue arc shot towards an old machine far away. With a bang, sparks came out of the machine and made a harsh noise. Sure enough, several guards were attracted to the past and commented in a low voice, is it a system failure again? Why are there always problems recently? While they were distracted, I moved my cat quickly with my waist, tracing through several monitoring dead corners, and finally touched the side of the base owner's building. Xiaoxi quickly invaded the door, and with a click, the door opened. I slipped in and there was a long corridor inside, with data servers all around, and the air was filled with burnt circuit smell. Host, the core technology is stored in the control room at the deepest point of the base, but there are high-level guard patrols in front of you. It is recommended to avoid frontal conflicts and use my network control to invade their communication equipment to create confusion. Xiaoxi's voice sounded. Okay, do it. I hid in the corner and ordered Xiaoxi in my brain. A few seconds later, the guards in the corridor suddenly became chaotic, and their communications made a harsh noise. Someone yelled, is this broken thing damaged again? What's going on in the headquarters? Another yelled, switch the backup channel quickly, don't let the enemy sneak in while it's a problem. While they were busy, I quickly walked through the corridor and came to the door of the control room. This door is thicker than the previous door, with several layers of encrypted locks on it, which made my skin numb. Xiaoxi, can this door be handled? Don't tell me that I have to smash it. I asked in a low voice. It is being cracked. The firewall has a very high strength and is expected to take 1 minute, but the cracking process may trigger an alarm. It is recommended to prepare for the battle. Xiaoxi responded. 1 minute? Okay, come here. I gritted my teeth, the blue arc between my fingers was full of energy, and I was ready to face sudden events at any time. Sure enough, 30 seconds later, the police in the corridor suddenly rose, as if it was as sharp as a pig, and the rapid pace sounds were coming from afar, which was obviously an abnormality when guarding the road. Bottle, so fast. I felt panicked, but the energy weapon in my hand was already ready to be developed. Before the door opened, several guards rushed over from the corner, and the red light weapon in his hand opened fire directly at me. I quickly turned over and hid aside, and the metal wall was hit with sparks, making my face hot. Host, the door crack has been completed. It is recommended to enter the control room immediately and close the entrance. Xiaoxi's voice sounded. As soon as I heard that, the Lima rushed over and pushed the door open, and locked the door with his backhand. The sound of guarding outside was mostly blocked by the sound of being blocked. The control room is full of screens and operating tables, and there is a huge transparent container in the center. A core module with golden light floats inside, which looks like some advanced technology. Xiaoxi, what is this thing? It's worth it. My eyes lit up and I asked. Host, this is the time and space point core of Time Police, which is used to stabilize their time backtracking technology. If it can be destroyed or seized, it can completely destroy Car's backtracking ability. Xiaoxi's voice actually brought a little rare wave. It is recommended to act immediately, but the container has high pressure protection, and direct contact will be fatal. Fatal? I still don't believe this evil. I gritted my teeth, and the blue arc between my fingers stormed at Xiaoxi in my brain. Help me adjust the energy output, let's break this broken container directly. It is being adjusted, the energy output is increased to the maximum, and it is expected to be able to be used for protection, but the host needs to withstand the reaction force. It is recommended to take a good anti-guard posture. Xiaoxi responded. I clicked my head, clasped my hands together, and the blue arc gathered into a thick beam of light, slamming hard on the container. With a bang, the surface of the container exploded and there were no cracks. The high-pressure current was 4 times, and the air was full of burnt smell. The counter-revolution directly shocked me a few steps back, and my chest was almost vomiting blood. The trough, this force is very fierce. I gritted my teeth and saw that the container protection finally broke, and the golden core was exposed. I hugged it, and my palm hit me. Xiaoxi's voice sounded. I am downloading the core data, and at the same time, virus implanted, and the police's preparation system was stormed. At this moment, the door of the control room was suddenly kicked open, and a group of guards rushed in. The head-on guys were covered in flesh, and the red weapon in his hand directly locked me up and shouted, Lin Feng, if you dare to destroy our system, Chief Carr will never let you go. Let me go? I don't plan to let you go. I sneered, and my fingers slapped, and the blue arc turned into a whip of light, whipping it hard. The leader's defense did not react slowly, and he lifted his weapon, but he was still shocked and his face turned blue. Host, the data download has been completed, the virus has been implanted successfully, and the police's preparation system has been destroyed. It is recommended to evacuate immediately after destroying the core. Xiaoxi's voice sounded. Destroy it, right? Look! I grinned, and the energy weapon was output with all its strength. The blue light column once again slammed on the golden light core. With a bang, the entire core exploded into pieces. The screen in the control room was completely black, and the alarm sounded even more harsh. Bastard! Do you know what you did? The leader was so angry that his eyes were red, and he shouted and took someone over. I laughed, my fingers slammed, and the blue arc swept over as if it was not enough for money. In a few seconds, they all fell to the ground and were full of unwillingness to accept it. What are you doing? What I do is the first step to make the police kneel down when you are time. I spitted and stood in the middle of a pile of fallen guards, and the feeling of pleasure in my heart was bursting. Isn't the police awesome? Aren't you going to kill me? I will let you see today, who is the real boss of this digital city. However, the feeling of pleasure did not last for a few seconds, and Xiaoxi's voice suddenly sounded, "Host, warning. Carl has entered the base through the emergency channel, brought the modified time backtracking device, and is expected to arrive at the control room in 30 seconds. Boke, it's him again." My heart was tight, and I was chased by him in the data center like a dog. Will this come again? But after thinking about it, I have a message in my hand and a virus that has stolen their systems, so I'm afraid of being scared. Xiaoxi, let's not run away, just wait for him here. I want to see how awesome the backtracking device is at this time. I bit my teeth tightly, and the blue arc between my fingers jumped even harder, and my eyes were full of war. The host has extremely high risk resistance and the power of the improved device is unknown. It is recommended to use the terrain and virus effects to delay time and find its weaknesses. Xiaoxi reminded. Procrastinate, right? Okay, let's see how I'll kill him. I grinned, quickly set up barriers in the control room, piled up the operating table and debris into a block, and then hid behind, accumulating the energy weapons in my hand to be developed. 30 seconds passed in a flash, and the door of the control room was opened by a huge force. Carl's tall figure appeared again, a sense of pressure radiating under his long black robe, and the time in his hand traced the device flashed with a strange light. He glanced at me and spoke coldly, "Lin Feng, do you think the storm system can win? Today, I will let you disappear from this world in no time." Gone? I haven't played yet. I poked out my head after covering it, slammed my fingers, and went straight to Carl with a blue arc. He just raised his hand lightly, and the device emitted an invisible wave, and my arc was swallowed directly, as if it had never existed. Boke, what a ghost thing. I was shocked, but I didn't say anything. Carl, don't think that if you have this broken machine, you will be invincible. I have your secret information and viruses in my hand. Your system is half gone, what are you fighting me with? Carl sneered, and his red eyes flashed, report? Virus? But it was a little trick of the slut. After the time backtrack is activated, everything will be reset and your existence will be erased. As he said, the device in his hand began to lower his head and the air began to distort. I felt my brain dizzy, as if my memory was being pulled away. But at this moment, Xiaoxi's voice sounded, "Host, according to the analysis of the information, the improved device has been loaded and the continuous use will cause energy dissatisfaction. It is recommended to concentrate firepower to attack the device's body. Carry? Okay, I'll just take this." I bit my teeth and suddenly pulled out the cover. The energy weapon was output with all its strength. The blue arc turned into a dazzling beam of light, heading straight for the device in Car's hand. His face changed, and the waves around the device trembled violently, but it still snatched my attack. "It's useless, boy." Car growled, the light of the device became brighter, and I felt my body getting heavier, as if I was going to be sucked into a black hole at any time. But I held my back and didn't retreat. The arc in my hand became more and more fierce, and finally I heard a harsh noise from the device, as if something was about to collapse. "Host, the device's energy fluctuation is abnormal, and the load is about to occur. It is recommended to withdraw immediately." Xiaoxi reminded urgently. "Retreat? I won't retreat." I red eyes, and with all my strength, I hit again. The blue light column hit the device hard. With a bang, a crack broke out on the surface of the device. Car's body shook violently, and a look of conviction appeared on his face. "How is it possible?" He growled, and the light of the device suddenly lost control, and an explosion-like wave of energy exploded from the ground. I was hit hard by the impact force and smashed into the wall. My chest was stumbled, almost passing away. When I got up, Carl half kneeled on the ground. The device in his hand had been broken into pieces into piles of waste irons, his body was covered with scars, and his red eyes were flashing in dark, as if he was about to be extinguished at any time. He raised his head and stared at me, and his voice said, "Lin Feng, do you think this is over?" The real power of the time police, you can't imagine it at all. After saying that, he suddenly pressed a device on his waist, and the whole person turned into a red light, disappearing in an instant. There was only a mess left in the control room, and I was breathing heavily. "Carl, run away?" I was stunned for a moment, and then burst into laughter. "Carl, aren't you a cow? Are you going to kill me? Why did you run away like a dog?" Host, Carl has fled through emergency transmission, but the police's main system has not been completely destroyed. Their final plan is still in progress. It is recommended to analyze the information immediately and prepare for the final counterattack. Xiaoxi's voice sounded. "Absolutely plan? Okay, I'm worried that I have nothing to do." I wiped the blood from my face, my eyes full of war. "Time police, aren't you going to reshape this digital city? I just want you to know who has the final say in this online world." At this moment, a red light lit up from the far sky again, which was even more dazzling than before, as if some huge machine was starting. My heart was tightened and I felt that a bigger storm was coming soon. I stood in the mess in the control room, my chest was still undulating. The moment I hit Carl head-on, I almost vomited blood. The dazzling red light from the sky was getting brighter and brighter, like some huge machine was storing energy. The data flow in the entire digital city began to become restless, and the air was almost burning. I wiped the blood from my face, and the fire in my heart became even more intense. "Xiaoxi, what is that red light? Don't tell me that it's the guy Carl again." I gasped and asked in my brain. Host, according to the Time Police secret information analysis that was just downloaded, the red light comes from the Time and Space Reshaping Tower in the core area of the digital urban area. That is the ultimate plan core equipment of the Time Police. Xiaoxi's voice was as cold as ever. The plan is called Zero-Point Recurrence, aiming to reshape the data structure of the entire digital city through large-scale time backtracking, erase all rebels, and achieve absolute control. The equipment has entered the start stage and is expected to complete energy accumulation within 1 hour. If not blocked, the consequences will be irreversible. Trough, 0-point restart? Eliminate the rebels? I narrowed my eyes and ran over my heart. These guys are so cruel. Not only do they want to catch me, but they also want to lose all the people they don't listen to. Xiaoxi, tell me where the tower is, we will smash it tonight. Host, the time-space remodeling tower is located in the center of Digital City, about 10 kilometers away, with the highest level of defense system and heavy troops around. The risk is extremely high. It is recommended to use the virus I implanted to scoop some of their defenses first, and then find a breakthrough. Xiao Zhido said for a moment and continued, in addition, it is very likely that Carl has returned to this area. Although his time backtracking device has been destroyed, the information shows that he still has a module for use and his fighting power cannot be underestimated. Carl? Use a module? Okay, I will let him know today. What is the real end? I bit my teeth tightly, and the blue arc between my fingers jumped again. Although it had just taken a lot of energy into the battle, the unconvincing agitation in my heart made me unable to stop. Xiaoxi, start the action. Let's first scoop up the defense, and then snatch the yellow dragon. The virus expansion program is being started, and the external defense module of the police main system has been invaded. It is expected that it will cause short confusion within 10 minutes. Xiaoxi's voice sounded, it is recommended that the host use this time to move towards the central area. I will interfere with their tracking signals simultaneously to cover up your actions. 10 minutes? It's over. I gritted my teeth, turned around and rushed out of the control room, and ran wildly along the emergency passage of the base. The sky outside was completely dark, and the neon lights and data of the digital city were intertwined into a dark light network, but the red light was like a huge wound, tearing the tranquility of this virtual world. I ran all the way, relying on Xiaoxi's route to avoid the police force for a few waves of patrols, and finally arrived outside the central area 10 minutes later. This is the heart of a digital city. The data flow is so large that it can almost ignite people's brains. The surrounding area is full of high-profile virtual buildings. The space-time reshaping tower in the center is like a huge metal spike, penetrated straight into the sky. The red light at the top of the tower almost illuminates half of the sky. Call, this thing is even more annoying than I thought. I hid in the shadow of a deserted virtual building, panting heavily, and asked Xiaoxi in a low voice, "How is the effect of the virus? Can I rush in?" Host, the virus has damaged 30% of their external defense systems. The unmanned aircraft and automatic turrets around the tower have partially lost their power, but the core defense circle still has high-level defense and energy barrier protection. It is recommended to use energy weapons to break through the barriers. I will interfere with the guard communication at the same time to create confusion. Xiaoxi responded. Okay, that's it. I clenched my fist, and the blue arc between my fingers was ready to explode. While the team was so busy that I was busy guarding, I suddenly rushed out of my shadow and headed straight to the energy barrier at the bottom of the tower. The barrier was flashing with the blue light, like a thick glass wall. I gritted my teeth and adjusted the energy weapon output to the maximum. The blue light column rushed up hard. With a bang, countless cracks broke out on the surface of the barrier, and the air was buzzing. Who is there? Several guards finally found me, and roared and opened the red light weapon and opened fire. I quickly turned over and hid aside. The red light swept across the ground and exploded a charred pit, which made my face hot. A girl in her heart yelled at Xiaoxi, "I'll give me some trouble again. These guys have too much firepower." The interference signal is being strengthened. Their communication has been interrupted, and the weapon system has been short and delayed. It is recommended to act immediately. Xiaoxi's voice sounded. As soon as I heard that, Lima seized the opportunity, pulled out the cover, and the energy weapon continued to hit several times, finally shattering the barrier. The fragments had not yet landed, and I had already plunged into the tower, and I was facing a group of guards. All the weapons in my hands were aimed at me. But their actions were obviously half a beat slower, and they were obviously at a loss by Xiaoxi's interference. Come on, who'll die first? I sneered, and the blue arc turned into a light whip, and then knocked down the guards in the front row in a few seconds. The remaining few were not good, and retreated and shouted, "Import Chief Carl quickly, the traitor is coming in." Notification? It's too late. I gritted my teeth and rushed forward. The energy weapon was shot like a money-free one. The first floor in the tower was quickly emptied by me, full of fallen guards and burned equipment. I gasped and looked up and saw a spiral upward passage in the center of the tower, leading to the top, where the red light came from. Xiaoxi, what's the top layer? Is Car here? I rushed up and asked. Host, the top layer is the core control area of the space-time remodeling tower, and it is very likely that Carl will sit there. According to the energy wave analysis, the remodeling equipment has accumulated 80% of its energy. If it is not destroyed as quickly as possible, the consequences will be irreversible. Xiaoxi's voice rarely brings a hurdle. It is recommended to concentrate all forces and implement breakthroughs. Breakthrough, right? Look at me. I bit my teeth and ran wildly along the spiral passage. All the guards I encountered on the road were knocked down by me with energy weapons. No one could stand wherever the blue arc reached. When I finally got to the top, I was greeted with silence. The top layer is a huge circular platform, and in the center is a giant machine emitting red light, like a certain energy boiler, with countless streams floating around, gathering into a complex light network. Carl stood next to the machine. His long black robe looked particularly strange under the red light. He was holding a small device in his hand. Although it was not as annoying as the time-tracking device before, the scattered waves still made my heart tight. Lin Feng, you're here. Carl turned around, his red eyes flashing, and his voice was as low as a gangster. I admit that you're more numb than I thought, but this ends here. The 0-point restart is about to be completed, and your puncture is indecisive. No intention? I'll let you see what the real meaning is. I sneered, and the blue arc between my fingers stormed, and I rushed up without hesitation. Carr hummed lightly, and the device in his hand emitted a wave, and my arc was weakened halfway, causing only a little slight vibration when hitting him. It's useless. My spare module is enough to suppress your energy weapon. Carl opened his mouth coldly, then he waved his hand and an invisible force directly lifted me away, smashing me hard on the edge of the platform. His chest was almost breathless. Boke, this guy is still so hard. I gritted my teeth and got up, shouting at Xiaoxi in my brain, is there any way to break his defense? I can't stand it if I continue like this. Host, according to the information analysis, the energy of the backup module is limited. If it can continue to attack with high strength, it is very likely to cause overloading. In addition, there are uncertainties in the energy furnace of the time-space reshaping equipment. If it can lead your energy weapon to resonate with it, it may directly destroy the entire system. Xiaoxi's voice rose quickly. Resonance? It sounds good. My eyes lit up, and I gritted my teeth and stood up straight. The blue arc between my fingers once again gathered into a column of light, and headed straight for Carr. He snorted coldly, and the preparatory module waved again to try to press my attack, but this time I did not retreat, and continued to output with the pressure. The blue light column became brighter and brighter, and the air on the platform began to distort. Lin Feng, you're looking for death. Carl's face finally changed, and the device in his hand made a harsh noise, which obviously was almost at its limit. I grinned, and while he was distracted, I suddenly adjusted the direction, and the blue light column rushed towards the energy boiling in the center. With a bang, a crack broke out on the surface of the energy boiler, and the red light burst, and the entire platform began to vibrate violently. Carl growled and wanted to stop me, but his spare module was finally overwhelmed. After a few sounds, it exploded and the fragments were quadrupled. He was also shocked by the impact and half-kneeled on the ground. Host, the energy boiler is about to lose control and is expected to cause a big explosion in 30 seconds. It is recommended to evacuate immediately. Xiaoxi's voice suddenly started. Retreat? I won't retreat. I read eyes, turned to call, and swung my fingers, and finally a blue arc rushed over, hitting his chest directly. He let out a low growl, and his red eyes finally went out, and the whole person fell down and stopped moving. Carl, the era of time police is over. I gasped and stood in front of him, feeling refreshed in my heart. But the red light of the energy boiler was already dazzling, and the explosion was rising in my brain. I gritted my teeth, still heard Xiaoxi's suggestion, turned around and rushed towards the edge of the platform, and jumped down. As soon as it landed, a sound of shocking birds came from behind. The entire time and space reshaping tower turned into a group of fire in the explosion. The impact wave directly lifted me out of 10 meters away, smashing on the ground, covered in dust. But when I got up, I couldn't help laughing. The trough is done. Time policeman, restarted at 0 point, the system is over. I smiled so hard that my eyes were almost out. The neon lights in the digital city were still flashing, but the pressure of the red light had disappeared completely, and the data had become stable, as if we were welcoming a new master. Host, the time and space reshaping tower has been destroyed, the time police's main system has been completely destroyed, Carl's life image has disappeared, and the 0 point restart plan has ended. Xiaoxi's voice sounded, and it rarely brought a little relaxation. At present, the online mastery of digital cities has been completely transferred to your name. Congratulations to the host for becoming the new online world overlord. Overlord? Ha ha ha, it's so good to hear this number. I sat on the ground, looking at the first long virtual dawn in the sky, and the grievance and unwillingness in my heart had long been gone. From a mini-program member who was ruined by Fatty Lou to the master who now controls the entire digital city, I finally stood at the highest point. Host, will you immediately take over the internet ownership and reformulate the rules for digital cities? Xiaoxi asked. Of course I take over. I grinned and stood up. The blue arc between my fingers dissipated, replaced by an invisible force, as if the entire online world was beating in my palm. From today, this digital city is no longer a prison for the time police, but my ground. All the people who are forced to stand up for me, and the new era has begun. As my voice fell, the data flow of digital cities seemed to have heard the call, gathering into light, illuminating the entire virtual world. I stood above the ruins. The virtual buildings far away were gradually rebuilt, the neon lights shining again, and my name has been engraved into every line of code in this online world. From now on, I am the invincible overlord of this digital city. Whoever comes, you have to kneel.